Good evening and welcome everyone to Free Flow Fridays in the Asana Sana studio. My name is Sana, and this evening, like I said, we're going to do a lovely free flow. Now, what does that mean exactly? That means I provide the background inspiration, so you're welcome to follow along with me as we go through the class. However, you have the option and the freedom to hold on to poses a little bit longer if you'd like, or if you want to just hang out in child's pose or something you want to try a little bit, you are welcome to do that. So the background of this class, like I said, will be intermediate. So what you'll need is just your mat. If you have a bolster or if you have any blocks instead of, or even a yoga strap, I like to use a nice scarf as a yoga strap. You are more than welcome to bring those along as well. So let's get started. I'll meet you here. Put your mats out, grab some water, and we are going to meet here on the mat and begin our flow. So let's do this. All right, let's stand in the middle of the mat. And tonight we're going to have a hip hop flow on tonight. So it's going to be a little bit more peppy, a little bit more energetic. So feel free to move to the music if you like it. We're just going to stand here, take a deep inhale through the nose. And we're going to exhale through the mouth. We're just going to hold here for a moment, breathing these deep breaths just to get ourselves centered before we get started in class. So inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Very good. Let's do 3 more of those. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Let's inhale one last time through the nose. Let's hold that for a moment up at the top, and then exhale, sending all that breath out. Excellent. All right, let's shake out our legs, shake out our arms, maybe spin a little bit, just get our arms moving a bit. All right, let's coming to center. Let's inhale our hands up to the sky, stretching and taking a big stretch up. 5-pointed star, and exhale, putting the arms down. Let's do that one more time. Inhale, sending our body up to the sky. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Get all of that energy flowing. Exhale, coming loose. All right. Now let's stand on the mat. I'm going to face you here. We're just going to bring our arms up parallel. And then we're going to take our right arm and we're going to bring it across our chest, grabbing our tricep and bicep with our left hand from the shoulder. We're just going to gently press, holding here for a few breaths, stretching out our shoulder. Let's inhale, bringing our hands back to parallel. We're going to cross that left arm right across and stretch that out with the right palm. And feel the music. If you love it, feel it. Now, of course, if you're watching this after it was recorded, you're going to miss out on the music. And exhale, let's bring our arms up. Bringing that right arm up to the sky, we're going to dip down to the back. I'm just going to take our left arm and pull, just stretching it here. And what I was going to say is if you're listening to this after it's been recorded, you're going to miss out on the music. However, I deeply encourage you to listen to your own music while we do this free flow Friday. Excellent. Inhale, let's exhale those hands parallel again. Let's do the same with the left arm to the back. Just grab that elbow, gently push it down with your right hand. Wonderful. Exhale, we have our hands out parallel. We're just going to bring our hands up to the center to meet, pulling them into our, what I would call Charlie's Angels fingers. Here we're going to inhale, exhale, let's bend over to the right. Let's inhale, coming back up to center. Exhale, we're going to bend over to the left. Let's inhale. We're going to exhale those hands open. And as we exhale, we're going to twist either right or left. Does not matter. And come into a twist. Let's inhale the hands up again. Let's exhale, coming to the opposite side for your twist. So we can stretch out both sides. Excellent. Inhale, and let's exhale our hands down to our sides. Let's shift our weight to one leg or the other. I'm going to shift mine to the left. Extending my right leg, I'm just going to rotate my ankle to warm up my, rotate my feet to warm up my ankles. What a tongue twister today, isn't it? Okay, we've rotated for a few moments. Let's go ahead and rotate the opposite direction with that foot. Excellent. Let's place that foot right back on the ground and let's lean our weight over to the opposite side, extend the opposite leg. We're just going to do the same thing. Okay, let's rotate the other way. Excellent. Let's just roll out the wrists here too. Shake out the arms one last time. Let's get ready to start our sun salutations. So I will meet you here at the top of the mat. See if I can find the side that makes it easier for you to see me. I will stand right here. We're going to start here at the top of the mat. We're going to begin with our alignment here. So before we get started, let me face you. We can talk about alignment. For this, you would want your feet to be hip width apart. Now, you can either use your hands to kind of eyeball it. I like to use my fist to see my feet just kind of like on the other side of my fist there so that they're hip width apart. I also like to relax my knees to make sure that they're not locked out. We want to make sure our whole body is centered over our heels as opposed to forward or incredibly back. And then for our pelvis, we're just going to hold it gently, pushing the back down, pulling it up so that the bowl of our pelvis is parallel to the floor. Then for our ribs here, instead of jutting them out, we're just going to push them so that they're nice and centered over our hip bones. And then we're going to take our shoulders, rolling them up to our ears, rolling them back and down, sending those shoulder blades right down your back. And then from here for your head, we're just going to place it so that the ears are over your shoulders. So we're just going to stand that nice, relaxed, proper alignment and get ready for our sun sals. So from here, starting in mountain pose, we're going to inhale our hands up to the sky. Exhale, coming down into a chair pose. Inhale, sending yourself up. Exhale, let's bend over, coming all the way down, fingers touching the mat, forward fold. Inhale, halfway flat back. Exhale, placing the hands flat on the back. Let's take a step back, knees, chest, chin, chaturanga. Down onto the mat. We're going to inhale coming up, and you can either do a cobra or sphinx or a downward dog, whichever works for your body right now. From here, we're going to inhale, curling the back toes. We're going to exhale, sending those hips straight into the sky as we push ourselves back into our downward dog. And in this first downward dog, let's go ahead and pedal out our feet, warming up our knees, our ankles, the bottoms of our feet, the backs of our legs, warming up our arms a little bit. Wonderful. From here, we're going to slow it down into our downward dog. We're going to take our foot, right one, inhale, sending it straight up into the sky. We're going to exhale, bringing it forward, dropping it in between our hands. However you need to, if you need to adjust, go right ahead. Let's inhale, coming up. Exhale. We're going to land right here into our warrior one. Now remember, you don't want your knee to track over your toes, and you want to keep your knee in alignment with your middle toe there so that we are not collapsing ourselves because our knees do not regenerate. So from here, let's inhale, framing that front foot with our hands. We're going to take a step back. Inhale, exhale as we come down into our chaturanga. Inhale up, upward dog, sphinx, whatever works for you. Let's curl our toes, take another inhale. We're going to exhale, sending our hips into the sky. Go ahead and pedal out your feet once more. We're going to take our left foot, inhale, sending it straight up to the sky for three-legged dog. Exhale, let's place it in between the front two hands here. We're going to inhale those hands up into the sky. Exhale, warrior one. Now, if your foot doesn't want to go all the way down, that's totally fine. Don't fight it. You can either shorten your stance, totally good. Keep it straight or pop your foot, whatever works for you. From here, we're going to inhale, bringing our hands straight back down to the mat. Taking a step back, we're going to ease ourselves down to the mat. Inhale, coming up to our downward dog, Sphinx, whatever variation. From here, let's inhale, curl those toes. Exhale, we're going to send our hips into the sky. Let's take an inhale as we kind of curl ourselves down and step, hop, or jump to the top of the mat to where our hands are. Inhale, coming flat back. Exhale. We're just going to hold here for a moment. Now we're in forward fold. If this is a little bit too much for you, if you don't quite like the upside down, that's totally fine. You can bring yourself halfway. If you have blocks, you can even stack your blocks as well to kind of help you with this. But we're just going to hang here for just a moment. We're going to open up our hips. Just sway a little bit from side to side, back and forth. This also has the benefit of opening up the back of our legs as well and our ankles. And if you're feeling that you don't need your blocks anymore, or if they're not in your practice today, you can go ahead and grab your elbows and just sway just a little bit. Make sure you breathe. All right, let's slow it down, bringing our hands right back down to the mat where they were before. Inhale, come halfway, flat back. Exhale, hands down. Inhale, let's bring those hands up to the sky, clasping overhead. We're going to bring ourselves back down into prayer pose. Excellent. Let's do it again. All right, starting in mountain pose. Make sure you're adjusted, standing in proper alignment. We're going to inhale those hands up to the sky. Exhale, coming into our chair. Inhale, sending ourselves up and down. We're going to bend forward. Inhale, halfway forward fold. Exhale, placing the hands flat on the mat. We're going to take our step back. Knees, chest, chin, chaturanga. Inhale up into our upward dog. From here, let's curl those toes back. We're going to exhale, coming into our downward dog. Let's pedal out just a little bit here before we get ready for our next asana. Inhale that right foot straight into the sky, just making sure your hips are square. Exhale, placing your foot between your hands in the front. We're going to inhale, coming up. Let's drop that back foot down at a 45-degree angle. Parallel, turning outward, we're going to come into our warrior two pose. Now let's keep a strong warrior two. Remember, to keep your knee behind your toes and not to track outside of your middle toenail. So keep an eye over my shoulder. Keep an eye on you guys. From here, let's kind of pulse it out a little bit. Try not to hyperextend. You don't want to hurt yourself, but let's get our legs nice and warm. Excellent. Slow ourselves down. Inhale, bring our hands forward, framing that front foot. Let's take a step back. Knees, chest, chin, chaturanga. Inhale up into our upward dog. Exhale here. Curl those back toes. Let's exhale, sending ourselves right back up into our downward dog. From here, let's take our left foot, sending it up to the sky. Exhaling, placing it down on the mat. Let's drop our back foot as we come up into warrior two. Ooh, this is fun. From here, let me fix my mat so you can keep seeing me on the camera. Excellent. From here, let's inhale those hands forward, placing them down on the mat. We're taking a step back. Knees, chest, chin, chaturanga. Let's come up into our upward dog. From here, let's curl our toes. Inhale, exhale, sending our hips straight into the sky. We're here in our downward dog again. Let's crouch down. Inhale, exhale. Walk, step, jump, or skip to the top of the mat. Inhale, come halfway. Exhale, place your hands down. Inhale, let's come up. Bringing them hands right back into prayer pose. Excellent. Let's do it again. Let's come to the top of our mat. Inhale, sending our hands up to the sky. Exhale, we're going to come into that chair. Inhale, coming up, diving forward, half fold. Inhale, half flat back. Exhale, hands on the mat. Let's take our step back. We're going to come on down. And inhale, come on up into your downward dog. Curling those toes under. Going to exhale, sending our hips straight back into downward dog. From here, we're going to take our right foot, sending it up to the sky. Inhale, placing it in between the hands. We're going to drop our foot back again, left side, just like we did for the warrior two, except we're going to come up this time. Briefly warrior two, and then warrior three. And when you do this pose, make sure you're not resting on your knee. You can just kind of lightly hold onto your hip if you need the balance. If you're having a hard time, it's totally fine. Just shorten your stance, and you should be able to do it too. Wonderful. Inhale, let's place our hands down on the mat. Take a step back with our feet. Exhale, let's come down. Inhale up, upward dog. From here, let's curl the toes, pressing our hips back into the air. Let's take our left foot to the sky this time. Inhale, placing a foot between the front toes, dropping that back foot. We're coming up into our warrior one. Then in our practice, we're coming up today, back down into exalted warrior, warrior three. And I like to play around by straightening and bending the knee as I go. Okay, let's inhale and put your hands down on the mat. We're going to come right back down, chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog. Curl our toes. Let's send our hips straight back up into the air once more. We're going to exhale. Inhale, let's hop, jump, or place our foot forward to the top of the mat. Coming up. Inhale, halfway fold. Exhale, all the way back down. Inhale, coming up. Exhale into prayer pose. Wonderful. I hope you guys feel all nice and warmed up. I'm going to grab a little bit of water. I highly encourage you guys to do the same, and then we can move on to the next part of our workout, yoga. All right. From here, we're going to actually come down onto the mat seated. So however you come down gently and have a seat. We're going to come into our cobbler's pose, actually. We're going to have the soles of our feet touching. Make sure you adjust the sit bones of your bottom so that you can comfortably sit and see what's going on. From here, we're going to just do some spinal twisting. So let's inhale, bringing ourselves up. Make sure we have that good alignment where our hips are in neutral position. Our chest isn't flaring out, but it's centered right over our hip bones. So inhale, let's inhale those arms up to the sky. Exhale, we're going to turn to the right. Let's inhale, come back to center. Exhale, turn to the left. And let's do that 4 more times. Inhale, sun. Exhale, right. Inhale. Two more. And last one. Inhale, exhale, coming into the center. Wonderful. From here, let's get ourselves into table pose. However you gently get yourself into your table pose this evening works for me. But again, we're going to mention the alignment. You want to make sure that your hips are over your knees, your shoulders over your elbow is over your wrist. And then you're not having your shoulders crunched up by your ears. You want to make sure they're relaxed and down and away. So you want to push onto the floor as if you're pushing it away from you. So you don't have to lock out your elbows, but you want to keep your arms nice and strong. Spreading your fingers, you do want to have your palms kind of hitting all 4 points of the mat as we do this next pose. So we're just going to breathe into some tabletop breathing. So from here, let's drop our waist slowly as we inhale, look up into the sky, filling up our belly with air, cow pose. Exhale, starting from the back, rounding our hips and our spine, exhaling sharply, cat pose. Do that a few more times for a few more breaths. Inhale, dropping the belly and filling up the lungs. Exhale, curling our spines, curling into ourselves, coming into cat. Let's inhale. Exhale. Inhale through your nose. Exhale, curling our hips. Let's do one more. One big, deep inhale. Let's hold it for a moment. Curling our hips. Let's curl our hips. Exhale. Excellent. So we're going to be here in our tabletop pose. From here, let's open up our hips a little bit this evening. Let's take a half step out with our knees so they're about the width of the mat. Let's take a deep inhale, coming forward just a bit. We're going to exhale, pressing ourselves back down into child's pose. And from here, let's do that into a flow. So you're going to inhale, coming up, coming forward slightly. Exhale, child's pose. If you want, you can extend your arms just a little bit so you can have a little bit of stretch. So we're coming up on an inhale. Exhale, child's pose. Let's do that a few more times. Inhale, coming up. Let's exhale, child's pose. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Excellent. All right, let's come back into our tabletop here. From here, what we're going to do is we're going to come down onto our forearms, and let's keep our forearms with our thumbs pointing up as if we're saying yeah to the floor. Since we have this interesting position, we're going to curl our toes and press ourselves back into a plank. Now, if a plank is not in your practice this evening, you're more than welcome to keep your knees lowered on the mat, but we're going to hold it here for a few moments and then do that child's flow again. So let's just get into our planks, and in 3, 2, 1, let's hold it here for 5 breaths. And keep breathing. I know it can be a little difficult to hold a plank, so I like to dance around to the music just a little bit. You're doing a great job. And let's do this last breath. Deep inhale. Exhale. Let's push ourselves back into the mat, coming into our child's pose. Coming forward. Now, this is the point here. We're going to go into this plank one more time after we're doing this flow here. Or if you'd like to change up your practice just a little bit, I highly recommend it. So let's get back into our plank pose here. Forearms. Now, from here, if you'd like, you can keep yourself in this lovely plank, or you can side plank yourself today if it is in your practice by bringing one knee down, turning yourself, extending that hand up into the sky. And I will give you the prompt to turn around if that's what the practice you're going with today. Now, if you'd like to try that without getting, if you want to try that being on your forearms, you can just go ahead and keep your forearm down and bringing that leg up so you can come into a half moon. So, everyone, let's get back into our decided plank pose of choice. I think I'm going to do a half moon. Let's get in here and get going. Ready? So, inhale, everybody curl your toes. Exhale, let's push up into our planks. Let's hold here. Oh. This is excellent for working on the balance. Now, when we're holding in our planks, remember, don't let your legs or your body kind of dip. We have 2 more breaths. You want to keep yourself engaged. You got this. Last one. And exhale, everyone calm down. Okay. And let's just hold in our child pose for a few moments. How about that? All right. The last one, I'm going to turn around so I can face you all. If you are going into your side plank, please, for your last one, do it on the opposite side. So from here, let's get into our designated plank pose. Remember, thumbs up, we're on our knees. Let's curl our toes, placing the pressure on our thumbs and hands, or if your hands, if you're flat and you're coming to the side. Let's inhale, push up. Here we are, plank pose. Whew. All right, 2 more breaths. Inhale, exhale. Let's bring ourselves right back down into the mat. Exhale into child's pose. Very, very good. Let's hang out here for a moment before we get into our next move. Excellent. All right, from here, let's come back into our tabletop. We're going to make sure our hands are nice and spread. We're going to curl our toes, and we're going to inhale, pushing ourselves up into our downward dog from here. Coming back into that downward dog that we were in a little bit earlier today. We're just going to play around a little bit with this shape as well. There's so many different things you can do from a downward dog. Usually most people know them from when you're doing a sun sal. So this time we're actually going to use it for a little bit of fitness. So pushing up, we're going to take our right foot, bringing it up to the sky, exhale, placing it between your feet in the front. Instead of coming up into that lunge, we're going to drop that knee here. Inhale, our hands up to the sky. Exhale, crescent pose. And let's just hold here for a few breaths. If you have your blocks, if it's in your practice tonight, you would like to use your blocks, you're more than welcome to stack your blocks, use them to help with support. Shortening your stance also helps if you're not feeling very bendy this particular evening. I mean, it is January, so here, just keep breathing. You guys are doing good. We're going to hold here for 3 more breaths. Inhale, it's bringing our hands down to the mat. We're just going to, from here, straighten that front foot, peeling those front toes off. And we're going to come up into another stretch for the back of the leg here. If you're next to a wall, you can use a wall as a support, or you can also use your blocks. And make sure to stay in good alignment. You want to pull this hip forward while sending your back hip. Pull this hip back, excuse me, your front hip back while sending your back hip forward. Staying nice and aligned. Excellent. Let's pop the foot back down on the floor. Inhale, we're going to curl those back toes coming up into that high lunge once more. We're going to take that foot, stepping it back into our downward dog. Very good. From here, let's just pedal out the feet for a few moments. All right, from here, let's inhale the left foot into the sky. This time, we're going to place that in between the front feet, dropping that knee. We're going to come right back into that high crescent lunge. Doing great. Make sure you keep that back leg straight. You want to make sure that your front knee doesn't track over your toes as well. From here, let's place our hands on the mat. We're just going to bring ourselves back forward, peeling those front toes off. Let's use my blocks so that I can get a nice stretch in the front leg. And remember, keep your hips squared. It's almost like you're keeping a marble at the top of your thighs here. All right, let's place our foot back on the mat, putting our hands down as well. We're going to curl that back toe, and instead of stepping that left leg back, we're going to keep it where it is. We're just going to turn ourselves, foot included, so that we're wide-legged forward fold. Now, if you feel like you're going to do a split or kind of fall over in a way that's not very comfortable, please shorten your stance. So we're going to come here into this wide leg forward fold. Let's take a grab of our ankles and just breathe here for a second. Now, let's place our hands flat onto the mat. We're going to ease ourselves one hand over the other. Let's walk over to the left side, turning that left foot to the left, turning your right foot in that same direction as well. We're going to straighten our legs if possible and come into our pyramid pose. Now, again, if you have blocks, you're more than welcome to use those blocks on the either side of your feet to help with your pose. You can also shorten your pose if it feels better for you. And let's hold here for 5 breaths. And it's important too not to collapse while you're standing here in your pose, especially if you're using your props. You want to make sure that you have a nice flat back, you are not twisted, and that you're keeping your hips square. All right, from here, let's inhale, exhale, dropping our hands to the mat. We're going to turn our feet forward once more as we come into our wide-legged forward fold, and we're going to hold here. Excellent. Let's walk ourselves over to the right. So turning that right foot first, grab my blocks, turning our left foot to follow. We're going to come into our pyramid pose. Shorten your stance if it's in your practice this evening. And then let's hold here for 5 breaths. Two more breaths. All right, on that last breath, let's inhale, exhale our hands to the mat. Turning, we're going to walk ourselves to the middle here. And while we're still here in this halfway forward fold, what we're going to do is let's turn our feet if you need to, but we're going to just come down into our Yogi Squat, Malasana. Exhaling as we come through. Now remember, when you're in this particular pose, you don't want to curl yourself over like a gargoyle, if you will. You want to make sure that your bottom hips are coming forward and you're looking straight up and your chest is open. If this is not in your practice today, you can go ahead and grab your block and place it underneath your bottom so that you may sit in proper Malasana. But from here, let's take our hands, placing them in prayer pose. We're going to hold here for a few breaths just to center ourselves. Excellent. Let's inhale, placing our hands flat on the mat. We're going to push ourselves back up, coming into that forward fold. Let's ease our feet in together so they're about a little bit more than hip width apart. Let's inhale, coming up into our 5-pointed star back stretch. Exhale those hands down into prayer pose. Let's take a moment to settle, coming into Tadasana, mountain pose. Hands by the sides. If you need to close your eyes, you certainly can do that. But let's just sway here to get ourselves right back and centered again before we move to our next part. Excellent. From here, let's slow it down. And we're already in the proper spot to do our next pose. Let's move into our tree pose. I like to do a lot of tree poses and a lot of really root kind of poses so that we can all kind of ground ourselves, especially during this time of year as we're transitioning from one year to the next, from holidays to no holidays. It's nice to keep ourselves nice and grounded. So from here, let's shift our weight to our planted tree side. So my first tree plant is going to be on the right side. I want to make sure my leg is firmly planted down. All 4 corners of my foot are placed on the ground, and I have my toes spread and gripping. From here, I can inhale, bringing either my foot to my ankle, I can either bring my left foot to my calf, or you can bring your foot all the way up to your thigh. However, you do not want it to sit on any joint whatsoever. Now, once I have my predisposed tree pose, I'm going to inhale, exhale my hands into position. Once you're in your tree pose, let's hold here for 5 breaths. And if you're a lower tree today, or say you have your foot on your ankle or on your calf, challenge yourself. See if you can try to bring your foot up just a little bit higher today. If it's within your practice, let's inhale, bringing your hands up to the sky. You can spread your energy out and be a free-flowing tree, or you can bring your hands into prayer pose. And it's all right if you come out of the pose. That is the part of yoga. All right, everyone, from here, let's inhale, releasing our tree pose, coming back to standing into mountain pose. Let's shake out that other rooted foot. Wonderful. From here, let's shift our weight to our other opposite rooted foot side and pick our pose. We either have our foot on our mat and our ankle, we can have our tree here at our calf, or we can bring our tree all the way up to our thighs. However you'd like to take it. Inhale, wherever your hands, yogi's choice. Exhale, tree pose. Okay. Inhale. Exhale. Let's bring everybody's feet to the floor. It just so happened. Perfect timing, huh? We're going to shake out our leg, that rooted leg. Very, very good. All right. From here, let's keep facing forward on the mat. We're going to spread our feet just kind of wide apart. Exhale, come into a 5-pointed star. From here, let's inhale, tipping ourselves. Let's turn our right foot, out to the side. We're going to inhale, sending our hip over to the left. Exhale, bringing our hands down. We're going to come into triangle pose. And if it is in your practice today, you may turn yourself straight up to the sky to a twist, or you may also use a block. And if you're really feeling it today, you're more than welcome to bring yourself in your back leg up as you shift your weight onto your right, that left leg up. Ooh, excuse me, it's not in my practice today, to come into a half moon. Make sure you keep breathing. All right, if you're in a half moon, let's bring our foot back down to the mat. And if you're in a pyramid pose, let's begin to inhale, bringing ourselves up, turning that right foot forward. Exhaling, we're going to stand straight on. Let's inhale. Exhale, sending our arms up into the sky, into that full body stretch. Excellent. All right, coming back into 5-pointed star. We're going to switch sides. Let's turn our left foot out to the left. Let's shift our weight so that our hips are coming to the back. Exhale, bringing our hands down to the mat. We're going to come into pyramid. And if it is in your practice, you can inhale, exhale your face to face up to your hand. Or you can even bring yourself into half moon, which is just shifting forward, doing that. That is not in my practice this evening. Let's inhale our foot down to the floor if you're in half moon. And then exhale, we're going to turn our face to the front. Inhale, everyone come up. We're going to come back into 5-footed star. Let's bring our left foot forward as we come into the star. Inhale, exhale as we come forward. Just swishing out our body just a little bit. It feels really, really good to do these poses. It's very opening, very freeing, and I personally love it. All right, so for our last pose of the evening, we're still standing here in our half star here. Let's bring our feet into a little bit together. We're going to do our last pose by taking an inhale, bringing our hands up to the sky. Exhale, we're going to just hold here in chair pose just for a few breaths. If it isn't in your practice today to hold into a few chair pose, let's just extend our hands up into the sky. Just send our energy out across the room. Let's send our energy out to our fellow classmates, to our fellow students, to our fellow yogis and yoginis out into the world, just doing yoga together this evening. If you have some music, go ahead and bounce to it. It feels good. And just when it feels like it's about to burn, like the intensity of all of the bees, we're just going to inhale, exhale, forward fold here just for a moment. We're just going to, you don't have to bring yourself all the way down. Let's come flat halfway if you can. And let's just relax our arms. Let's maybe do some figure eights with our arms. Relax our head. Let's figure eight our arms the other direction. Remember not to lock out your knees. Flat back. So you kind of look a little bit like this. So let's inhale, coming up. We're just going to come into standard, into our mountain pose. Exhale. Inhale one last time. Exhale. Wonderful. Great. Well, let's find ourselves in a seated position here. Just come down into easy seat, which is crisscross applesauce. We're going to, whatever your leg is on top, we're going to switch that with the one that's on the bottom so that we can use our legs equally. Go ahead and spread out the flesh of your sits bones so that we're nice and grounded onto the floor. We're going to, again, check on our posture. Let's make sure we've come back so that our chest is over our hips and that we're not jutting forward. From here, we're just going to inhale and exhale. Let's bring ourselves down into grounding before we come into our cool down. Let's inhale those hands out to the side. We're going to exhale, dropping our left forearm to the floor as we cross our right arm overhead. If it's in your practice, you're more than welcome to inhale, turning your head up to the sky, looking at that right bicep. You want to make sure that we're keeping our heart open and not crouching forward. Let's inhale, coming up to the center again. And this time we're going to exhale, placing our right forearm on the mat. Exhale, coming into that side stretch. Let's inhale, coming up to middle here. We're going to exhale, coming forward, just bending a little bit so that we can get a little bit of stretch in our lower back. And only come as far as you can. As you can see, I'm not flattened out completely, but I am far enough where I can get a nice lower stretch, a lower back stretch here. Also, you feel it in your hips, piriformis. It feels really nice. All right, on the last exhale, let's come forward. We're going to shift our pose once more, coming into a kneeling pose, our hero's pose. Excellent. Let's hold here for a moment, just grounding ourselves. All right, from here, We're just going to lean forward a little bit, extending ourselves down. Let's come into a Sphinx pose. I know we did a couple of downward dogs earlier, but here we're just going to keep our arms, forearms on the mat, our bellies on the mat, legs on the mat. We're just going to hold it here. All right, let's come up onto our knees, pushing ourselves back into an extended child's pose for just a moment. Maybe do an inhale, exhale here. Inhale, exhale. Let's come right back up into that hero's pose. This time, we're going to extend ourselves back, putting our hands back on the mat. We're going to inhale, exhale as we extend. Fish pose. And make sure that you're breathing with this one. It can be a little difficult to keep breathing because we are leaning a little bit backwards. Let's inhale ourselves coming forward. We're just going to round forward in our Virvasana, just hugging our knees to our chest. All right, let's come right back up into here. Let's find our way into lying on our back. Not quite Shavasana yet, so don't get too comfortable. But let's find our way lying onto our back. Very, very good. From here, we're going to keep our feet flat on the mat. Make sure that we have our neck properly aligned. We're going to inhale, just placing our hands flat on the mat next to our bodies. We're just going to inhale, bringing our hips up. If it is in your practice this evening, holding on into bridge pose. Be sure not to let your hips drop. You want to keep yourself feeling nice and strong through the back end of your body as we stretch out. All right, now our last exhale, let's roll ourselves back down onto the mat. Excellent. From here, let's extend our left foot down. We're going to bring our right knee into our chest and just give her a good hug. Or him. From here, let's take an inhale. Take our left hand, placing it on the outside of our knee. On our right knee, we're going to press it over to the left side, extending that right arm out beside you. Coming into a twist. Let's inhale, bringing that foot up to center, this time taking our right palm, placing it on the inside. We're going to exhale, bringing it out to the side. Let's extending our left arm to the left. This opens up the hip the other direction. Right, let's bring our knee up to the center here. We're going to extend that leg out and bring up our left knee. Give it a hug. Let's inhale, placing our right hand on the outside of our knee. Exhale, turning it to the left, bringing that left hand out to the side. Let's Inhale, coming to the center and switching sides. We're going to take that left hand, placing on the inside of the knee, pressing it down while we bring our right hand out to the other side, stretching out our hip. All right, let's bring our left leg on the inside and bring our right knee in one more time. Let's hug our hips together, our knees to our chest. Maybe roll around a little bit on our back, just a little. Taking a deep inhale. Exhale, let's stretch our whole body out onto the mat, really taking up space, letting all that air out. And we're at the best part. We're in Shavasana. So find yourself in a comfortable laying position. If you haven't done so already, please feel free to close your eyes and take 5 deep breaths to get yourself really centered here on the mat. So inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Perfect. Let's do 4 more. Inhale, filling up that belly, filling up those lungs. Hold it for a moment if you can, and then exhale. Getting all the air out. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. 2 more times. And last breath. Let's come to a comfortable position for Shavasana, whether if you're sitting or if you're laying. Just relax and focus on your breathing. And what I mean by that is just make sure that you're breathing in and you're exhaling out. That's all you need to do. before we come up from our Shavasana, I'd like to do this reading with you today from 365 Days of Tao, Daily Meditations by Deng Ming Dao. And for day 15, it says, the river, surging course, uninterrupted current, headwater, channel, mouth, can they be divided? Each day we all face a peculiar problem. We must validate our past, face our present, plan for the future. Those who believe that life was better in the old days sometimes are blind to the reality of the present. Those who live only for the present frequently have little regard for either precedent or consequence. And those who live only for some deferred reward often strain themselves with too much denial. Thinking of past, present, and future is a useful conceptual technique, but ultimately they must be appropriately balanced and joined. We must understand how the past affects us. We should keep the present full of rich and satisfying experiences, and we should devote some energy each day to building for the future. Just as a river can be said to have parts that cannot be clearly divided, so too we should consider the whole of our time when deciding how to spend our lives. And with that, I invite you to bring a little bit of movement into your body by wiggling your toes and wiggling your fingers. Start to rotate our ankles, maybe wiggle our legs a little bit, wiggle our arms, maybe wiggle our chest. Stretch our arms overhead, maybe stretch our legs out, keeping our eyes closed. From here, if we can, let's roll over to one side or the other, either left or right. Let's hang out here for a moment in this pose. All right, as we exhale, let's place our hand on the mat and safely come up into an easy seat. If it is in your practice, you can go ahead and keep your eyes closed. If not, you can come into seated with a relaxed gaze. From here, let's rub our hands in together. Place our warm palms over our eyes and gently flutter our eyes open while they're covered by our palms, just so the light doesn't kind of glaze and glare into our eyes, so it doesn't hurt. Inhale, exhale, let's release our hands from our eyes. Well, thank you very, very much for joining me for class this evening. It was so much fun spending this free flow Friday with you all. And as always, I respect and see the light in you. Join me next week for Free Flow Friday at this time, 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. I flow, you guys go with whatever enters your mind in asana that you may choose to do. So with that, I'm going to inhale my hands up overhead, clasping into prayer pose. I'm going to bow myself. I see and honor the light that is in you. Om Shanti Shanti. And as always, be the light, see the light. Have a good night.